Well, hi there, Hawks. So we're starting a new module, and that module is about electrons. You'll find that chemistry is almost exclusively about the electrons in the atom, as opposed to the rest of the particles. I think a good portion of our course is going to talk about what electrons do and how electrons play their part in creating other substances. And so we're going to start off talking about the electrons in the Bohr model. Um, and our learning target is I will develop and use Bohr models for atoms, including energy levels and the placement of electrons within those energy levels. Okay, so if you can recall from module 3 that we introduced the Bohr model of the atom, and it was just basically something that looked like the solar system. Okay, um, it was proposed by Niels Bohr in 1913. Um, and his model shows the nucleus in the center of the atom and the electrons orbiting the outside. So the protons and neutrons are in this big red ball, and the electrons are on the outside, kind of going around it in circles. And so it's similar to our solar system. So that was his model. This model of the atom also shows that the electrons live in a shell-like area that encircles the nucleus called energy levels. And so each of these black circles, these lines, represent an energy level. There are 7 of these. There are 7 energy levels in an atom, or 7 energy levels possible, and that they surround the nucleus. Okay. Electrons fill from the center outward, with specific numbers of electrons filling into specific energy levels. So if we start at the nucleus, our first energy level is where our first electrons are going to pop in, and we can fit 2 electrons in that specific circle. Okay. In the next energy level, we can fit 8 more. So if we have an atom, such as the one that we have in this picture, if it has more than 2, it's going to fill that first 2, then it's going to fill in the next 8, right? So my second shell can contain 8. Our third shell can contain 18. Okay, our third shell can contain 18 electrons. Okay, after the third shell, that third energy level, the Bohr model fails to account fully for the atomic behavior. So really, honestly, once we get past that third level, the Bohr model just kind of breaks down. It doesn't necessarily show it correctly. So we typically don't go out past that third level when we're talking about the Bohr model. Okay. For drawing a Bohr model, we want to look at, first off, we need to look up the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. So if I'm looking for lithium, right, I want to build the Bohr model for lithium, I would look up the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons for lithium in the periodic table. Remember, the number of protons is your atomic number. The number of neutrons is the mass minus the protons, and then the number of electrons is going to equal the number of protons for now. In the center of the atom, write the number of protons and number of neutrons. So this is like in that past picture where we had that big red ball. This is our big red ball, but we're indicating that there are 3 protons and 4 neutrons in the center of that particular atom. Okay. Step 3, draw the correct number of energy levels as circles around the outside. So we know that we need 3 electrons, which means that if we go past 2, we need at least 2 of those energy levels, right? So we need 2 circles where the electrons are going to live. Then we're going to draw dots to represent the electrons, placing them in the correct energy level according to the number. So we're starting in the middle, with the 2, right? So we can draw the 2 electrons. And you can draw them anywhere on this circle. This just happens to put them up at the top. And then we still have one more. So now that 1 has to fill in on the next energy level. Okay, so that is how you draw a Bohr model atom. Okay, so let's look at drawing a Bohr model for beryllium. Okay, so we're going to draw a Bohr model for beryllium, and so we have to find it on our periodic table. And on my periodic table, it's the 4th element, right? So atomic number 4, Be, beryllium, and its mass is 9, right? So I'm just going to record that over here on my whiteboard. So its atomic number is 4, and that's beryllium. And its mass number is 9, right? So from this, I can tell that I have 4 protons, and I have 9 minus 4 is 5 neutrons. And then remember, the electrons are the same as the protons. Okay, so that's my beryllium. Another thing I can do with the periodic table is I can look at what row is beryllium in. So this is row 1, this is row 2, right? And then row 3, row 4, right? And so the number that the number of the row is the number of energy levels. So if I draw my center, okay, so here's my center, that's my nucleus. My nucleus contains the protons and the neutrons. So I have 4 protons and 5 neutrons, okay? And then according to the periodic table, I have 2 energy levels. So I'm going to draw 2 circles. 1, 2. As you can see, I'm not the best drawer in the world, so it doesn't matter if you can draw or not. Okay? And then I'm going to draw small circles for the electrons. Now there are 4 electrons, and so I need to put 4 of them in my energy rings. And remember, this ring here can only take 2. So I can only put 2 in here. Okay? So that means I have 2 left. So that means I have to put 2 on the outer ring. Again, you can put them anywhere on the rings as long as you put the correct number in the rings. So that is how you draw a beryllium Bohr model atom.